Good evening, everyone. I hope that you're having a great night. Hi, Taryn and Melanie and Audrey. Welcome to our feelings check. I hope that your night has been relaxing and restful, but maybe not. Maybe it's not quite that time, like you're getting kids in bed and baths. Hey, Jessica. Welcome to our feelings check, Tracy. We are so glad that you're here. I can't wait to hear how you're feeling tonight. I can't wait to tell you how I'm feeling tonight. We're trying something new, and yes, we have all the feels. We're upstairs at Mercy House tonight. I really hope that if we continue these little conversations, eventually we can do them from my house. I'm working on that. But my internet's not quite that great yet. So we wanted to invite you guys upstairs into, we call it our treehouse setting. We really call this location Tamina. That's the road that it's on, which isn't super exciting. We tried really hard to come up with something good. But the windows and the light in this room are beautiful. And we have this little cozy corner with couches and chairs. And we actually, with our staff and sometimes people who visit us, we actually talk about our feelings in these places. So I'm going to tell you all about our feelings, and I'm going to ask you guys how you're feeling, and I'm going to invite a friend so we can have a conversation. I hope that you're ready. This is going to be interactive. Yes, we want your opinions and your thoughts for you to share those with us. So let me see, I'm gonna grab this right here. Try not to catch my sweater on fire. I think that was close. I did get the warning to stop, drop, and roll if there is a candle mishap. So we're giving everyone a chance to join in. If you're here, say hello so that we know who we're talking to tonight. That will help us. I think we have people on Facebook, and are we live on Instagram? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe we'll get some people to join us from Instagram. So we started doing, oh, my son just showed up.
Oh.
Hi, John Avery. I don't think he has ever been. I know. Hello. You're going to love this. Actually, he probably tuned in because he saw we were doing a feelings check. He actually really is the first person in my house who he told me about a feelings check, and I'm going to tell you that story. But he's actually coming home tomorrow too, because his little sister is in Lion King. She's playing Timon this weekend. They had a big dress rehearsal tonight, and so I'm going to have all my kids together, and I'm definitely going to tell you how that makes me feel as a mom. But hi, Karen and Lisa, Rachel. Welcome to our first official feelings check. So I guess it was probably last summer. My son, who happens to be on here, didn't know he was going to be on here. He was a counselor at a camp called the Mentoring Alliance. It's here in Texas, and they do mentoring program. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Oh my gosh, this is my favorite show ever.
This is already, you guys.
Worth it.
We have students from UMHB watching, so Mary Hardin Baylor is representing. You guys are going to make our night. So last summer, he went through a training as part of camp staff, and I don't know how to say your name, Q Lub, but welcome.
I mean,
yes.
probably an abbreviation.
I mean, I think we probably could go viral, all these moms on a college campus.
Yeah, college
So-
guys are definitely our
Yeah, college guys.
Target audience. Do we
so-
have things for y'all tonight?
Chris and John Avery and Cute Lub. I want to show up at your campus and sit in a lawn chair and just hold up a sign that says free mom hugs. I have a friend who did that at A&M, and she had a line around, there was, didn't charge anything, didn't even offer advice. All she did was give hugs to college kids, and it was perfect. All right, I guess y'all are leaving now. These are all the roommates leaving. Anyway, so last summer, he went through this training, and it was called a relational connections training. And it was a mentoring program where they paired college kids with elementary age children who were struggling, and they became their mentors for the summer. And so my son called me, and he was like, Mom, you have to start doing feelings checks. And I was like, what is that? And he said, well, it's basically asking how you feel. And so I said, well, tell me more about this training. And he explained that the relational connections training, which here's our binder, because Mercy House staff did the same exact training that my son told me about in December. And we learned really how to get in touch with our feelings. And I highlighted a few things in here that we learned that I was going to share. But as human beings, we're all created with certain physical, spiritual, and relational needs. We're always acutely aware of those physical needs, right? Most people don't have to tell us when to eat, sleep, or breathe. Our spiritual needs also sometimes become evident because of, we feel empty inside, or we hear a worship song come on, like our need for God. Most of us probably have already realized that we have a need for God. Our relational needs sometimes are the last needs that are met. And so this training really helps you understand how you feel connected to people in life or in work. And we often miss that we were created with certain relational needs. Every human being on the planet has an ongoing need for things like attention, appreciation, respect, and security. And so in Scripture, we learn that we're supposed to accept one another, Romans 15:7. Romans 12:10 urges us to honor one another. Galatians 6:2 tells us to bear one another's burdens. So there's all these scripture that really explain how we're hardwired to connect with other people, right? We're not meant to live this life alone. We're meant to live in community. And so understanding how we feel about ourselves and about others is critical to developing relationships. And I think what I've learned, especially lately in doing these feelings checks, is sometimes I don't know how I'm feeling until I stop and think about how I'm feeling. And when you really create that space and make yourself go through that discipline, sometimes I'm surprised at how I feel. And so a feelings check is basically an opportunity to say how you're feeling. So what we started doing at Mercy House is we simply started before every meeting, or at the beginning of every meeting, which we have a lot of meetings. How many meetings do y'all think we have a week? I mean, I had 2 today, but maybe 7 to 10 standing meetings.
Maybe more.
Maybe more. We're not all in those meetings, but we try to start those off with a feelings check. And it's a simple, how are you feeling? There are some rules, and those rules are you cannot answer fine, and you cannot say okay. And it's actually harder than you think, because a lot of times that is the first thing we say. How are you feeling? We want to immediately say, I'm okay, or I'm fine. So you're not allowed to say that in the Mercy House Global Feeling Check. And we really want to know what someone is bringing into a meeting. Like, if I had to take my pet to the emergency, or put my pet to sleep the night before a big meeting, I'm going to walk into that meeting sad, right? Or burdened, or, I'm going to have feelings that no one knows about. And so just acknowledging, I feel sad, and I can elaborate, or I don't have to. So our feelings checks are basically just an opportunity to check in and see what we're bringing into the meeting. you might have heard of a feelings wheel. And I'm going to actually, do you want to come sit over here and maybe help me? Because my friend here has a lot of feelings and she's really good at expressing them. You want to, because I think I actually heard about this from you. So will you?
Probably.
Because I think we have a very simplified version of that we can
this
talk
is
about next. You don't have to go into detail, but
So can I talk about this thing a little
Yes,
bit?
please.
Okay, so we were also talking about a book that we read recently, or a book that I read a little bit of recently, and it was by a research, like an emotional researcher, and she said that they interviewed 7,000 people, and most of the people could only come up with 3 emotions:
wow,
happy, sad, angry. And so
that is kind of sad.
this is like those base ones, like happy, bad, fearful, angry, sad. There are more. And then it goes out like a little bit more. Like if you're angry, are you actually feeling let down or humiliated or bitter? And then it goes even into more detail about what you might be feeling.
I'm going to hold this up close so everyone can see. So this is a feelings wheel. These are all this is I don't know if it's all the feelings in the world, but it's a good representation. So
like where to start, and then like
yeah, so
what that
she
could
just
mean.
said like feeling bad, and then that could be bored, busy, stressed, or tired. And then from that, it could be unfocused, sleepy, out of control. So it kind of categorizes your feelings based on the core emotion, I guess.
Yes,
Yeah.
like gives you a place to start from. Because I mean, maybe you are angry, but it's probably deeper than that.
Right.
You know?
A lot of my feelings come out as anger. That's probably
Yeah,
bad,
and
but-
like I think it helps you like look at it deeply. So also, like, one of the things I read was that naming an experience does not give the experience more power. It actually gives us more power because we have more understanding. And accurate language, like having a shared language with your friends or with people here, it gives you more access to help, because if you tell people what's really going on with you, not only does it let them know what's going on, but like Kristen said, it helps you. Because so if I'm like coming here and I'm not paying attention to myself at all, and then somebody's like, okay, we're gonna do a feelings check, and I'm like, oh, I am feeling really stressed because of this thing at home, then I realize, oh, I've kind of like been grumpy all morning, and maybe people thought I was mad at them, but it's really something at home or something.
Yes.
So
So we started doing feelings checks actually when my son brought it to us as a family, and it's helped us connect and really I feel like I know my family better, because I think we were using fine and okay a lot, and I don't think when we say fine and okay, we're really getting to the root of how we feel about something, or how we feel about ourselves or the situation. Like I said, every meeting begins here with a feelings check. It could be one word, or you could elaborate. That's really up to the person. But sometimes it turns into, like, if someone says overwhelmed, I know sometimes that is a feeling we have often here, then we can ask more questions, like, can we help you? Can we take something off your plate? And so it really just, it opens a door, I think, is what a feelings check does. And so we want to support artisans with work. As you guys know, that is our mission here at Mercy House, to empower vulnerable families with opportunities that create hope. And we do that in a lot of different ways, through maternal health care in Kenya, and also creating dignified jobs for artisans. And we took the beautiful flowers that you see behind us. There are prints that we have decorated the wall with here, and you can do that too. But we took those and we created a feelings chart. So we took that big wheel that you just saw that Stacy explained, and narrowed it down, because honestly, when I look at that wheel, it overwhelms me, because there are so many feelings. And I honestly feel it's really hard for me, even with, if I had 10 options, I would want 2 of them. I don't think I'm complex, but I don't always feel 100% of. Sometimes I feel sad and happy at the same time.
Oh yeah.
You know, or I feel hopeful and tired at the same time. So we wanted to provide work for an artisan, support our mission, and create something for you to do with your family. That's the purpose of this. And so you could do it different ways. Yes, the prints behind us are available. We're going to drop those in the app in a little bit, and you can grab them if you want. I actually framed mine. They look really beautiful together, like this. But this is the same art. We've just put it on so I'm gonna let Stacy bring that closer. So we have taken that art and created a flower's feeling chart. And so each flower has a feeling underneath it. So what I did with mine, I put it on my refrigerator with a pretty magnet, and it is there every day. It's in a great spot in our house because it's right by the kitchen table. And so when we have dinner together, what we do, and I personally believe having dinner with your family is one of the best parenting and marriage decisions that you can make. I have written about it. I have made teachers and coaches mad because I didn't want my family to miss that time together. And it's so hard. I have fought for that time around the dinner table. And it's important because I think those connections are so great. That's when you hear about your kids' days. That's when you connect as a family. Maybe you can read a scripture together, or, listen, hear the highs and lows of the day. It's also the perfect opportunity for a feelings check. And so I started doing this, and I only have one kid at home right now. My other two are in and out. My oldest is more out than in. She lives in her own place now. But she's actually coming home for this weekend. But we do a feelings check. So how are you feeling? The first time I did a feelings check with my daughter, my youngest, who's 16, guess what she said? Mom, I'm fine. Yeah. And I said, no, you can't say that. She was like, I'm okay. And it made me laugh because I was like, we're all, similar. I said, no, you can't use those words. You have to choose a word off of this chart. And so I got it off the refrigerator, and there are how many choices?
25, right?
25.
Said 12, which was wrong.
Yes, there's 25 on here, okay? And I'll read them to you because they're kind of hard to see. But joyful, thankful, excited, quiet, blessed, calm, curious, loved, hopeful, content, overwhelmed, frustrated, bored, concerned, irritated, lonely, anxious, peaceful, at ease, fortunate, loving, cheerful, courageous, thrilled, and liberated. So my daughter looked at these and she was like, well, I kind of feel calm, and I kind of feel peaceful. And she ended up choosing at ease was her word. Oh. That was what she was feeling, which is exactly what I would want. I chose liberated because I had just taken my bra off. Just kidding. I had to bring that in under liberated.
I hope John Avery's
roommates is shoot. Oops, I think they're gone. Sorry. I did say that.
They're in college.
Okay, sorry guys. Moms. Embarrass you. I'm pretty sure they're gone.
Right now.
I did say liberated though because I have been walking in freedom.
Yes.
I could also say peaceful, but I think I told you guys my feeling this year for 2023 has been surrendered. Just letting God take care of everything and being the opposite of anxious. That I'm walking in freedom. So I actually did say the word liberated because I feel liberated. I do not feel bound to worry or solving problems that are not mine to solve. And so, Stacy, how are you feeling?
How do I feel? I feel excited that we're talking about feelings because I like to do that. I am in Enneagram 4. I think like John Avery, right?
Yes.
So I like feelings, and talking about them is not really hard for me. But I like when there are a lot of words to come up. You know what I mean? Instead of just saying sad or something, I like when there are lots of different words there for you to really describe it. And I also think something that you're going to read about, how you can have contrasting feelings at the same time.
Yes.
I think people are really complicated, and it's awesome. I mean, humans are just really, really interesting, and feelings are weird, and
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, and your top strength is empathy.
Yes.
Which I think empathetic people feel things in a deeper way, you know?
Yeah. My top one's empathy, and my next one is intellection, which means I also like to think a lot. So I like to think a lot about
Okay. You like to think a lot about your feelings.
and other people's feelings.
Yeah.
I like
But I think that's good. I think the world needs more empathy. I actually wrote this down in the product description of the feelings chart, which you can, everything we're talking about, even some of what we're wearing, you can grab if you like it. But it's proven that increased relief comes with being specific about identifying our emotions. So, you know, when you're so frustrated and you don't know how you feel, and especially kids, right? Like they're so angry and they're throwing a tantrum and you don't know why, and you don't know how to identify the feelings. Maybe they don't either. But when we're able to identify it and choose maybe a word, it provides an opportunity for empathy. And I love that because as a parent or a spouse, like sometimes you just get mad at someone who's mad, and you never get to the root of why they're feeling mad, and it's usually not anger, right? Like it's demonstrating in a different way. And most of the time, kids aren't angry, they're hurt, or they feel betrayed, or they feel forgotten,
Scared,
or lonely, or scared, right? And so we never really get to the root of those issues. And I think it just, I feel like God is teaching me a lot about spiritual disciplines and doing things slower and creating space. And so I actually read a quote today that said, we listen to respond, not to hear. Like that's a problem in our culture. Like we listen so that we can reply. We don't listen so that we can truly hear. And so I think when we stop and we ask each other, how do you feel? It creates empathy, which, you know, I think you naturally have a lot of empathy. Not everybody does. And so we need tools to help us with that. And then the other thing that I read, it said it's important that we not only understand what's happening inside of people we care about, right? Like our kids at the dinner table. We want to know what they're feeling on the inside. But it also is important that we know how we ourselves feel about something. And in our culture of busy, you know, where we don't create space, we're constantly plugged in. We're always, I mean, literally plugged in. We stop at a stop sign, and what do? Stop at a stop sign and reach for our phone. We take our phones to the bathroom. I mean, we're always taking in information, and we're living in a world where just the headlines, right, are grief-stricken and scary and sorrowful, and we don't even process some of the shared grief that we have. And so taking a feelings check, what I love about it is it grounds us in the moment, right? Like when the Nashville shooting happened, the next day our staff had prayer time, and we just had a moment of silence and prayer for our country and for those families and for that state and for our own children in our schools. And we just sat in our grief for a little bit and created this space to feel. And it was heavy, but it was also a perfect time to lay our burdens down. And so being grounded in the moment creates, you know, a memory that we can go back to. And I think it forces us to pause and really reflect on what we're experiencing, because stuffing those emotions down, self-medicating with technology and social media, like eventually it's going to catch up to us, right? We're going to crack. Like we have to get some of that out and express it. So all of that information that I just read is on, if you buy the feelings chart, that is in the product description of that feelings chart. But we've been doing this book together as a staff. It's called The Lives We Actually Have by Kate Fowler. And I'm going to have Stacy read this at the end.
At the end of what?
Our talk tonight. Because at the end of,
Okay.
what were you thinking I was going to say?
You know what? I'm ready. I'm here to serve.
Okay.
And just.
I didn't want to. I want you to be able to prepare. I know you. See, I can sense that.
Kelly read this morning, so I'm pretty familiar with it. It doesn't have any hard words, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, because I did read it the other day on the fly and mispronounced 2 words and then was mocked.
No, it was. They
didn't
very
really mock me. They were hard words.
They were like tongue twisters.
Yeah, occasionally there's a bad word. There's some irreverence in the book. But it is really powerful, Tracy. I love the book. But before we jump into that, and that'll just kind of be a blessing over this time together. And that's why I love this book, because it's like a blessing for different situations. I wanted to kind of transition and talk about when we share our feelings, our own feelings, like, you know, my feelings and your feelings, or we listen to the feelings of the people in our home, we have an opportunity to do something about that. And so I wanted to take just a second and talk about self-care, because I love practical steps and I love practical ways that we can take care of ourselves. Now, one of the ways I take care of myself, and I know this is probably silly, is I light a candle. I worked from home today because I actually have pink eye. And I didn't share my feelings. We did a feelings check, but I didn't share mine. Did you share your feelings?
I don't.
You said excited and then.
Well, then I just started talking. I have feelings.
Okay.
I don't.
Do you want to share?
Well, I can't. I mean, we can talk about it a little bit, but I don't want to like make this my show. But
well, I care about your feelings.
But I guess like these people who come to these all the time might be confused or might
yes,
you guys are going to figure
because I already messed up. I feel like
that's okay. You haven't messed up, but
okay.
I think that either Claire or Angie has referred to me as Story in some of the comments.
Yes.
So I changed my name yesterday, which has been like a whole to Story from Stacy, and so ever since I was a little kid, I didn't really feel like the name Stacy Lynn was the right name for me. I was right, it wasn't. And then like got older and just kept thinking like, well, like, I don't know. You know, like your own inside your own head. So you don't know, like a lot of people don't like their name. What are you gonna do about it? Finally, I got tired of that at the age of 46 and decided to just change my name. So I did, but so I'm excited and I'm proud of myself, and I feel like it was the right thing, and so I feel just like relief that I went and did all the like government things yesterday, but just like, what is that sense of like just like rightness, like this was right for me and I did it for myself, and so I'm proud of myself also to advocate for myself finally. But then I also have these other feelings, which everybody at work has been so great, but just I don't like to be the center of attention, and so I feel like this like puts me in the center of attention some, and like I'm waiting for like people to be like naysayers and you know like on Facebook or whatever whenever I announce it. So it's that juxtaposition of like I'm putting myself out there. I feel vulnerable maybe.
Yeah.
Like I'm putting myself out there, and so I waited so long to do it, but I know it's the right thing to do. So it's just like all these things inside my head.
But I think that confidence is going to quiet anyone else's voice. And maybe. I think that's what
that's also age, right? Like maybe that's why
that's true. Wait till you're 50 and then you're just like, I don't care about anything. But I think those are powerful feelings, to want to change something and to have the courage to do it. And I think that kind of empowerment it crosses over into every area of our lives, you know?
Yeah.
And I know I want to love people well, and if Stacy becoming Story puts you in a position of feeling like your true self, and
Mhm.
like everyone who loves you, like that's it's like an opportunity to show you that we love you by calling you Story
Yeah.
instead of Stacy.
Like, it makes me feel more seen.
Yeah.
When people call me messed up, like I did this yesterday, officially yesterday. But if people mess up, as long as their heart is pure, it doesn't bother me.
Yes. Okay. Good. Thank you.
The
for
name
grace,
Stacy it doesn't have any like big negative things. It just doesn't really feel like my name. But when people have called me Story, or like even typed it like on Slack, we changed my name, it just makes me feel seen, and it just feels more like who I really am.
Yeah.
And then there's like the whole like part of the name Story it's just like more of a hippie name, and like every person has their own story.
And you're
like,
a great writer.
Yeah. Well,
Do you think about that at all?
and I love
You
books
love
and stories
words
and
and
the
English
people.
and-
The fact that every single
Yeah.
person, like you're in just the supermarket or something, and like every single person has like this whole deep, complicated story.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting.
Yeah.
So I just love that word.
Yeah,
So.
that's awesome. So I feel at peace. I'm gonna go with that. But again, like I said, I feel more than one thing. I feel frustrated that I have pink eye. I felt angry that my husband gave me pink eye. I feel bad that I feel angry. You know, so I have a lot of feelings, and it's okay. We can feel all those things. But I think I verbalize my feelings of peace and surrender in my feelings checks at work, in the meetings I've been in. And we do core value shout outs, and actually everyone in this room gave me a core value shout out. For everyone's, like, it wasn't planned, but it was for putting Jesus first is one of our core values, because I was modeling being surrendered. And I realized that leading by being surrendered, like leading through being surrendered, is encouraging others maybe to lead surrendered and not worry about all the things that are out of our control. And so by sharing my feelings in a feelings check, I think it has a domino effect, right? Because vulnerability does that. Like shared vulnerability is so powerful.
It's so powerful. And I think some people who are more insecure just with themselves, there's this like thing, like being vulnerable might make you seem weak, but truly, like people who really know it, like being vulnerable in front of a bunch of people, it takes so much strength.
Yes.
And it's a gift to the other people, I think, like to trust, like to like, you know, to sometimes at prayer, when somebody talks about something they're really struggling with that might be really hard, people who truly care about you, that is a gift to them to let them see that part of you that you might be scared to show.
Yeah. And I think like when we did our relational training, appreciation was my top felt need. And I kind of, it was in December, and I was really feeling burned out and exhausted. And after doing that assessment, it just made me feel unappreciated. Like I realized I want to feel appreciated. That is my relational need. But I didn't feel appreciated because I think it exposed that. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know. I didn't. And then I was vulnerable about that and said, you know, I appreciating the staff is part of my job. It's also something that I feel really passionate about, but I didn't feel appreciated. And so I told the staff that, and everyone went out of their way to make me feel appreciated, and it filled up my tank. And that was like 4 months ago, and it's still full. So I think when we're vulnerable and we tell our family, right, like I just can't do XYZ anymore. I am so weary, or I'm so tired, or I need help, right? I need assistance in this area. It's hard to do that, but I think the people in our lives who love us need us to sometimes raise that white flag and say, I surrender, like I need help. And then someone had asked, like, what do you do when, I don't know exactly how she phrased the question, but it made me think about, you know, she was like, what do you do when someone with someone's feelings when they're just so overwhelming, like someone else, like, you know, people try to put their feelings on you. And I think that's where self-care comes in, because I know I can't, as a mom, I want to fix what is happening in my home. I want people who feel sad to feel happy. I want people who feel angry to feel at peace. That's just my nature as an Enneagram 1 and a mother. I want to fix things, and I know I can't. I have to let people sit in what they're feeling. But one of the things I can do is encourage them to take care of themselves, and also to model taking care of myself. And so I don't think we as a team here have always done the best at that, because especially since COVID, like, we have just run really hard and fast and pivoted so much. We have whiplash, and tried to keep that mission of empowering women as our focus. But it's easy to get out of rhythm and out of sync with, you know, and forget that God rested, and celebrating the discipline of Sabbath is a command, and it is important for our mental health and our stamina, right, to do our job. So we're kind of new at this, but we've really just begun taking clarity breaks, whether that's working from home one day a week, or taking an hour or two at the end of a really busy week to go work outside, or go to a place and not work, and just sit in our thoughts. And because sometimes when we have so much to do, we're frozen and we can't do anything. And then a clarity break creates space to prioritize. I think things rise to the surface, and it kind of moves us to that next place. And so some of the ways that we do self-care at our house, like when my daughter, we did a feelings check this past week, because she is in Tech Week of a play that she's in right now. And Tech Week for non-theater people is exhausting. It's just very long days. And so, like, running her a hot bath, I actually have this bath soak that we just launched, lavender and vanilla, and running her a really hot bath, and, you know, that lavender smell filling up the bathroom. And she gets in from Tech Week last night, Tech Night, and she still had she's Timon in Lion King, so she still had the funny eyebrows painted on. And I was like, go take a hot bath. And, like, she felt loved and cared for. And I love when sometimes after live cells, you know, especially in 2020, 2021, we moved out far from work. I would get home pretty late, and Terrell, my husband, would be like, I turn the shower on, the hot water is waiting for you. Or those are ways that we can care about each other. Lighting a candle. What are some ways that you celebrate self-care?
Well, not necessarily self-care, but it reminded me how I've cared for Maya, my daughter, who's in Florida. There have been 2 times we've sent her, we sent her groceries one time when she was sick. I'm so thankful for technology.
Yeah.
And then one time she was just so overwhelmed. She has ADHD, and she was just it was just everything, you know, when it just gets to be so much. And she's like, I can't even think about what to eat. I'm so hungry and I can't think about what to eat. And so we ordered her, we know the pizza place she likes, and we just sent her. I mean, honestly, I went a little overboard, probably sent her enough food for like 2 or 3 days. I'm like, don't, I can do that for you.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about that. And then, like, another day, she's been working really hard. Her feet hurt. I sent her a foot massager. I mean, like, it's just, that's all I can do.
Right.
Because I'm so far away. So.
But I think in those moments, like, you are seeing her, right?
Yeah. We still love you. We're still taking care of you.
Yeah.
For myself, I am learning more and more about myself that sometimes I need quiet. My brain, before I started working full time, I would have it while my kids went to school or while my husband was at work. And then when I'm at work 40 hours a week and then go home, or have a busy weekend and then come right back to work, I will be my personality might be problematic the next week, like
Yeah.
for my family. Like, it's just, I am starting to learn I need a break, even a few hours. Like, even when we went this weekend to go visit her in Florida, like, there was one morning when I was like, I'm not jumping out of bed. Like, I don't need to lay in bed all day, but I am not jumping out of bed and going to go do something. I just need, my brain needs space.
Yeah. One of the things that I love is this. We've actually had this before, but I think we brought it back.
Smaller, right? I think it was much smaller.
It was much smaller.
bigger
Did it
and
go in
better.
Fair Trade Friday?
Yes.
Okay. So it is this today's plan notepad, and I'm going to put it up close because it actually, we added a self-care tab to it. So it has like your to-do, a place to write your self-care, your top 3 things that, like, your priorities you really need to get done, and then some notes. And it's 90 pages, and that's intentional because it's a 90-day rhythm. And if you, for 90 days, this could be a challenge. If you write one thing every day for self-care, and you did that for 90 days, you would probably be a different person, right? And I think self-care can be, it looks different for every person. Like, self-care for my husband is a fishing pole. That is not self-care for me. Self-care for me is a walk outside, or just sometimes going outside. I worked almost all day today from my swing outside, with my cord stretched because my laptop died. But even though it was work, it was a way, because I just needed some vitamin D. I needed, like, the fresh air, and that is self-care for me. So it doesn't have to be, doesn't have to cost you anything necessarily. It doesn't have to be this gigantic plan, you know, massages and all of that. It's whatever speaks to you that's creating, you know, room, that space that you need to, you know, clear your head. I mean, sometimes just petting my pets, like my dogs are, they're not, they would never pass as therapy dogs for anyone else, but they are therapy dogs for me because they're just so, they want to snuggle and be there. And sometimes that is therapy for me. So that is a challenge. Grab this notepad and spend 90 days. Like, I think also it's a great opportunity to get your life together. I read this week that if you work, like, the human brain can really only focus and work and accomplish things for 4 hours at a time. And then if you don't take a break, your next 4 hours are reduced in productivity by like half, which is crazy. And so working for 4 hours and then literally taking a break, getting up, you know, that's probably why lunch breaks are in the middle of the day. But if you accomplish 3 things every day, right, like your priority list, and you do that for 90 days, you're gonna probably get more breaks than you've ever had and be more focused. And so this is a really intentional way to do that and take that challenge. But hopefully you guys have learned something tonight and you feel inspired. I would love to ask you how you're feeling. So let's do a real feelings check. If you're listening and you want to write your feeling, what you're feeling so one word, and I'm going to hold this up so maybe you can choose a word that sounds right, and we want to know how you're feeling. Are these backwards for you guys, or can you?
I think it should
No,
be
just for me.
Oh.
So joyful, thankful, excited, quiet, blessed, calm, curious, loved, hopeful, content, overwhelmed, frustrated, bored, concerned, irritated, lonely, anxious, peaceful, at ease, fortunate, loving, cheerful, courageous, thrilled, or liberated. All right, so you put it in there, and we see Brad is proud.
That I have boldly made
Yes.
this decision. Thanks, Brad. It's so nice. I know. Boldly.
Don't make fun of him.
boldly. He means boldly. Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, thanks you guys. I love,
Erin Carr had a good self-care.
yes, what is her?
She said do one physical, one mental, and one spiritual.
Oh, I
every
love
day.
that,
Oh,
Erin.
see, I can do that.
So her
'cause-
top 3 that she suggested is one physical, one mental, and one spiritual. Oh, that is excellent. I feel like I did all of those things today. One spiritual,
Oh, Rachel
one
feels dicey.
physical.
Oh, Rachel, I thought
We
we
should
were
have
feeling
added
dicey
dicey on our chart. That would have been excellent.
Yeah, that's my go-to lately.
Dicey, yeah, scrappy. All right, so let's end with our reading from
The Lives We Actually Have.
yes.
I hadn't heard of this book before, but I like it for those of y'all who aren't familiar with it. It's very one of them, didn't it say if your life is like a dumpster fire or something?
I like it. So the premise of this book
or if your life
is
in the dumpster.
the author is like a professor of, I believe, theology, and she says that we get the word blessing. We look at what we have and we say we're blessed, and really a blessing is something we pronounce on something that hasn't happened yet or that is happening. And I loved that. And so she has blessing for different types of feelings.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was really appropriate because she's pretty honest about her feelings. I think when she wrote this book, or when she wrote one of her books, she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And I think she is a miracle. I think that was a few years ago, and she's been in remission. But I'm sure she has felt everything with that kind of a prognosis. And so, yeah, it's good because it's a blessing for...
Or bless. She uses bless more like a verb. Bless this painful life. Bless this garbage life. That's a whole chapter.
Yeah.
So, it's more realistic.
Yes.
And not just... Okay, so this one is called For Stretching Your Heart. God, my life has too many things. Awful, lovely, full, shockingly incomplete. Will you help me to learn to live with a greater capacity for this? Living in the tension between a life that has worked out and one that has gone to hell in every handbasket. Let today be a divine exercise of yes and. Yes, I have so much to be thankful for. And this hasn't turned out like I thought it would. Yes, I feel moments of joy, and I have lost more than I could live without. Yes, I want to make the most of today, and my body keeps breaking. Yes, I'm hopeful, and this is daunting. Yes, I'm trying to be brave, and I feel so afraid. So bless me, trying to live in between those two words, yes and. May I understand this is where the real work of life is found, where it takes courage to live, where grief can strip me to the studs and love can remake me once again, where my heart can be both broken and keep on beating, never sorry to have broken at all. Yes, and. Make me capable of great joy, great love, great risk, even fear, as you expand my heart with this yes and today. I love that.
Beautiful.
It's so good.
Yes, and this book is called
Let me get closer. The Lives We Actually Have.
The Lives We Actually Have. Yes. And we want to encourage you to grab up that feelings chart. Not only are you going to have a really great resource for your family, again, it's so perfect on the fridge next to the kitchen table, to interact with your family, get to know how they're feeling. Just because they're not saying it doesn't mean it's not there. And so this is a good resource, a good tool that you can use. And of course, you're going to be supporting not only artisans who created that product and the prints behind us, but also the work of Mercy House. And so we hope you enjoy this feelings check. I hope you feel connected and like you have learned something. I know we have learned. So good night, you guys.